Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Witch's Key. Today is a long episode for you guys. Woo! This is insane. I am so nervous for some reason. I've never done anything like this before. It's just this reading this work as I go. I'm feeling all the pressure today to bring the ending to life and not disappoint anyone. So I hope that you guys are happy with how this is turning out. This is the next to last episode. I'm gonna put my glasses on so that I can read. Oh, they're kind of smudgy. So that I can read the comments. Oh my goodness. Alexandra, and so it begins, and I am waiting, giggling hysterically. Hello from Germany. Oh my goodness, you guys. 10 pages today. We have 10 pages, 5,500 words. So it's going to be a little bit longer of an episode, and tomorrow is going to be even longer. So I hope you're in for the ride. Oh my goodness. My heart is beating because I'm just like, okay, what are they going to think of this? It's just beating so hard. New experiences for everyone. I was like, okay, I got to crack open some sparkling water and have something to drink. Hopefully I won't. Sometimes when I get nervous, I get really clumsy too. So I just am waiting to spill this drink all over my desk with all my junk up here. Kelly said, I'm planning for 2 hours tomorrow. Oh, H. Bushel, you just finished 19 on Wattpad. Woo woo. So glad you're here. Oh my goodness. Yes, this is a long episode. I feel like I need a minute to just breathe. Christabel, Sarah, can you talk about your cover artists real quick? Had a couple people ask about them. So this cover was done by Dark Unicorn Designs, and it was just a pre-made cover because I decided to do this story and had 3 days or something to get it all together. And obviously my cover artist, Raven, she does all of my she's doing a new set of Eternal Sorrows covers. She's also doing all of the Shadow Demon Saga covers, the newest ones. She does the Deep Dark Secrets, the Spirit Walker ones, all my Sacrifice Me covers. She is amazing, but she is booked out till October or November of this year, and she just can't do stuff on the fly. She's way too booked. She also does Shannon Mayer's covers, some of KF Breen's covers, I think. She does a lot of big indie author names, and so it's just, she's always busy. So I went looking for a pre-made cover, which is a cover that, other artists will put together for a cheaper price, where they're done ahead of time and they just sell them for whatever the price is. Instead of when I'm working with Raven, getting all the covers together, it's always has my input on it. I'm telling her what I want from it to a degree. So it's like a collaboration. But with this cover, it was just, this is what it looked like. And all I did was when I told her the title, I sent her a picture of this key and said, could you incorporate the key in some way? And she incorporated the key like this. So yeah, very short notice cover. It was just one that I happened to find. And it took me a few days to find something that would work. Kelsey had asked, will there be more Spirit Walkers? Yes, I talked about this on the Q&A, which I know was super long, but that is a trilogy, and those will probably come next year. So Emmy's writing 2,500 words today, but stopped to listen to me. So thank you for being a little, being on a break to come listen to this. Oh, yay. Welcome, M. Levinson. Welcome, everybody. So yeah, I'm not giving up on any series. It just sometimes takes me a while. So you can see the key in the cover, but she kind of altered it just a little bit, I think. So that is just the first key that I found on a stock photo place. I didn't honestly put a ton of thought into it. So if we start looking at actually getting keys together, we will definitely put some thought into it. Also, I just noticed that this little peacock was still here behind us, and this is something that my son made. So his school just did a charity auction, and they actually made this even with the social distancing. So we had a parent that dropped off on our porch all the different kids. He only has, I don't know, how many kids are in his class, George? I don't know, 10 kids or something. And they each got 7 of these little diamonds, and they're wooden diamonds, and they all got to paint them. And then they put this peacock together because his teacher's maiden name is Peacock. So you better believe I bid on that Saturday night. There's 12 kids in his class. And so they all had a piece in this, and it just made me so happy. So we just picked that up. George went and picked that up yesterday. And we also won, the second subscription that we won is a local pastry chef here in Charleston is going to do 6 months worth of pastries for us, just for the family. So she left us a thing called Death by Chocolate yesterday, it was chocolate banana bread, double chocolate chip cookies, and chocolate brownies with white chocolate chips. Oh my gosh, y'all. There is no dieting going on in this house. So we won both of those auctions, which is really nice. Did he manage to get toilet rolls? No, we still have no toilet paper. I think we're down to 3 rolls, guys. We're gonna have to go searching. We did go looking a couple other places, but so far, no luck. All right, I'm going to give it just a couple minutes for a little bit more people to come in. Yeah, the TP sitch is not good, but George did happen to find some napkins, which is good. I think we're just going to have to go out very first thing in the morning when they've just stocked everything. Oh, Nicole asked, what does my t-shirt say? I'm glad that you asked. So I had to grab this one because I was like, oh, it's the perfect day. It says, sometimes I wrestle with my demons. Sometimes we just cuddle. Which I thought was perfect for today. There will be no cuddling with demons today. And thank you all to everybody who has put your little Bella's challenge into the coven. I haven't looked on Instagram yet today because I've been writing literally all day, but I was so excited to see some Bella's challenge hashtags in the coven. Thank you so much for those of you that did it. There are some nice, really nice, beautiful pictures in there. I also did one, so I'll be posting that after. We're going to do one for everybody in the family too, so that'll be kind of fun. Yeah, it's perfect for my other book too, because they actually do cuddle with the demons. Yeah, I've got my beta reader kind of has a love affair with Rend. So if she got a chance to cuddle with a demon, I think that's who she would choose. So any other Rend fans out there? I don't know. If I had to choose which demon for my Shadow Demon saga, I mean, I feel like it's always Jackson is like my love. No spoilers, no spoilers. But Airden kind of grows on me the more I write him. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that series to write them. But oh my goodness, you guys, 10 pages today. I know I'm also going to give a little warning here that as we get close to the reveal today of who Algrath is, there will be some people in the chat that will be guessing. There will be some people that get it right because they understand the little foreshadowing and the things that have happened. There will be some people just throwing out names and who knows what. So if you don't want to be spoiled by somebody else saying it before you get it, then turn off your chat now because we're going to start reading. If you don't mind watching the chat and hearing other people guess, because I'm sure there will be some correct guesses, then just go ahead and hang out in the chat. So it's up to you. If you just want to enjoy the experience of the reveal and your own thoughts, then you can turn the chat off for now. But let's see. It's Lindy. Emmy, I can tell you it is not Lenny. That is like one that is definitely not it. But thank you for guessing. And I know you're just joking. Okay, so episode 20, the next to last episode of The Witch's Key, season 1. Here we go. All the nerves. Okay. Episode 20. And so it begins. I ran straight toward the cabin, my heart pumping hard as I thought about what those girls must be going through. But before I made it, even 10 steps forward, something grabbed hold of my foot and I face planted in the grass with a thud and a groan. At first, I didn't quite understand what happened. My mind was locked on what was going on inside that cabin, and I couldn't bring it back to this moment here in the grass. I lifted my head and gasped as I saw the glowing outline of a ward literally 3 inches in front of my face. In my panic, I'd almost forgotten about the wards and traps Algreth had set around this cabin. If I'd set those off all at once, we probably all would have died. Tears sprang to my eyes. What was wrong with me? Gawain knelt at my side. You've got to get yourself under control, Lenny. Do you understand how dangerous it can be if you let your emotions get the best of you? He asked. We're working with a powerful trickster demon here. He's going to do whatever he can to play on your emotions, make you see things that aren't there, and prey on any of your weaknesses. He offered me a hand and I grabbed it, letting him pull me to a standing position. I'm sorry, I said. I just heard her scream and freaked out. If you're going to let all that training we just did fly right out the window because of a single scream, you might as well get in the car and drive home right now. Do you understand? His words stung, but he was right. I'd nearly killed us all at the very first sign of trouble. That entire test with the bunny suddenly made crystal clear sense to me. Tonight wasn't just about winning some battle against a demon. It was also about mastering my own heart. Slayers needed to be strong. I'd always known that, but I guess I just never realized how many different ways they had to be strong. I understand, I said. I'm sorry. We walked back to the group, and even though I expected Martin to be disappointed in my actions, he put his arm around me instead. I have a feeling you will learn many difficult lessons tonight, Martin said. Let's hope the first lesson is that your impulsiveness can put the entire group in danger. That spirit of yours can be your greatest weakness or your strongest gift. Only you can decide. I wiped a tear from my cheek. I needed to grow up fast, or I was going to get everyone killed. But how could my impulsiveness be a gift? I didn't understand what he meant. But before I got the chance to ask him, another scream sounded from inside the cabin. This time, it sounded like a different girl. I resisted the urge to run and help, but I didn't want to just stand here and listen to that either. What's he doing to them? I asked. Or is that just for our sake? Do you think he knows we're here? He most definitely knows we're here, Gawain said. This whole place has been set up as a trap for us, and he let us right in. I can promise you we're all exactly where he wants us. I swallowed back fear. I don't understand, I said. If we're right where he wants us, aren't we doing something wrong? Aren't we just playing right into his trap? Sometimes that's the only way to face a demon like this, Gianna said. You have to let them believe you're falling for all their little tricks. And then, when they let their guard down, you surprise them. I frowned. That sounded extremely risky to me. After all our planning, I'd been feeling pretty confident, but now that the actual moment of confrontation was here, I didn't know what to do. What if they can't be surprised or they anticipate our moves too? I asked. Then we improvise as we go, Gawain said. He put a hand on my arm. Don't look so scared. We're going to get through this together. I couldn't help but be scared. Something about this whole cabin felt off to me. Couldn't they feel it too? But maybe they could. We were intentionally playing the game Algrath set up for us. I guess I could understand why, but it still scared me. I just hoped they all knew what they were doing. Another scream sounded from inside the cabin, and the lights inside flickered. It was a different girl again. He's preparing them for the ritual or something, I said, hurting them one at a time in some way. Perhaps, Gianna said, or he's intentionally setting us on edge, hoping we'll make our move before we're ready. And when is that going to be? I asked. Us being ready, I mean. She smiled and touched my cheek. Your mother was always so impulsive when she was a girl, too, she said. Right now, under the light of the full moon, you look just like her at this age. It's going to be okay, Lenny. You have to trust us. I grasped my mother's locket in my hand. My mother was impulsive? That's not how I had known her at all. Yes, she was full of fire and spirit, but she was also very calculated, going through all the possibilities as if she could see all possible futures laid out for me. It was hard to imagine her as a rush right in kind of person. Maybe there was hope for me yet. Oh, there's crackling. Sorry, I just kind of noticed it. I don't know if it's the audio here. Does that make it better at all? I don't know if it's any better. I hate to stop, but I also don't want it to be ruined. Is that better, you guys? I don't have any kind of change in this. Sounds fine. Okay, maybe because the baby was kind of pulling on this cord, maybe we're better. Sorry to interrupt. No, not for Karen. Yeah, maybe try to refresh. We'll have to keep going as is because that's all I can do with this mic here. A fourth scream from the next girl came from inside the cabin, and the lights flickered again, staying off longer this time. What was he doing in there? It seemed like some kind of ramping up for the ritual, I guess. How close are we on the tracking spell? Asher asked. Martin glanced at his watch. Still 22 minutes. I wanted to beat my head against a tree. 22 more minutes. It just didn't feel like we had that kind of time. Besides, who else did we think was inside that cabin hurting the girls? Santa Claus? I'm going to make a trip around behind the wards to check the ritual circle, Asher said. He sprinkled something over his head that looked like glitter and ashes. Abscondo. Asher disappeared completely, and I got chills all over my arms. I hadn't seen that invisibility spell before. Why not just use something like Obscuro? I asked. Demons at this level can see through those types of lower level invisibility spells. The one Asher just used is a much higher level and not available to a witch like you just yet, Gianna said. So please don't go getting any ideas into your head about sneaking around this cabin to find the girls. Besides, the wards and traps will still trigger, even if you're invisible. A few minutes later, Asher reappeared beside Martin, nearly scaring me to death. Talk about being on edge. I had actually started to pull my dagger on him, and then I laughed nervously. I was losing it. Couldn't we just raid this place already? It's already been activated, he whispered, but he wasn't speaking softly enough for us not to hear. I think he's going to start earlier than we expected. I kept my mouth shut. I wanted to trust the experts here. They'd done this before, and I basically had no idea what I was doing. But still, I was ready to go. Anything but stand here and wait while my friend might be dying. An hour seemed to pass before Martin turned to Gowan. I defer to you in this, he said. Do we wait? Gowan ran a hand across his white beard. I think we wait until we have confirmation of one of the girls being brought out to that circle. He said, right now, we don't know for sure that any of them are inside. It could all be a trick of our ears. If we trigger any one of those wards or traps he set up, we might be too overrun to change locations if we're wrong. Martin nodded, but I wanted to scream. Kai, who had barely even looked at me since our conversation earlier about his parents, seemed to sense my frustration. He touched my arm and motioned for me to join him a few steps away from the group. Sit down, he said. Face me. Why? I asked, snapping harsher than I'd intended. I immediately wanted to take it back. I'm sorry. I'm struggling. He sat down first, cross-legged, with his hands on his knees. I joined him reluctantly. I was ready to go inside, get this thing done, not sit out here and sing campfire songs. You're going to be fine, he said. You just need to find your center, your heart. It's where your intuition and your deep knowing come from. This is what you need to find and trust right now, more so than your ears and eyes. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. I don't think I can, I said. I was sitting just like him, but I couldn't seem to get my toes to stop tapping or my hands to just relax. Just try, he said. His voice was so calm and cool. How was he doing that? For me? I sighed. Okay, I'll try it. If nothing else, it'll help pass the time, right? I closed my eyes and Kai directed our breaths, telling me when to breathe in or out. Soon, I was able to focus only on the sound of his voice and the feel of the air filling my lungs. For the first time, I noticed it was a breezy night. I had my long hair pulled back, but some little wisps must have pulled free because they were tickling my cheeks and the back of my neck with each gust of wind. When your heart is calm, you can listen to the voice inside you instead of listening to your fear, he said. I smiled. You sound like my parents. They were always telling me to listen to my heart. Feel better? He asked. I opened my eyes. I do. Thank you for that. If things get difficult tonight or scary, just come back to this, he said. Before you act, come back to yourself, to your heart. Forget your fear. That sounds easy, I said, sarcasm coating my tone. It'll be good practice for you. You say that like you've had a lot of experience with battles yourself, even though I know you don't. He shrugged. Not battles, but I've had other demons to fight, he said. This is one of the only things that helps when I'm feeling scared. It was hard to think of an angel feeling scared, but maybe it was his humanity that allowed him to feel so much. Realizing that about him also made me see that he was beautiful even without his wings. Kai started to reach for my hand, but before either of us could express how we were feeling, the fifth girl screamed, and all the lights in the cabin went out, as though someone had blown out a candle. Kai and I stood, staring at the house, waiting for the lights to flicker back on. Only this time, they stayed off. What's happening? I asked. No one answered. We all just stared at the cabin, waiting. The breeze I'd noticed a moment ago ramped up, increasing steadily until the trees around us bent over from the force of it. Lightning and thunder cracked together, lighting up the sky with a loud boom that shook the ground beneath our feet. At the same moment, the sky darkened as clouds moved to cover up the light of the full moon. Cool rain poured down on us, and because of the wind, the drops stung my cheeks. Darius reached into his satchel and crushed a vial of something in his hands as he shouted, "Protectio!" The rain stopped instantly, and I wiped my eyes, shocked. But then I realized the rain hadn't stopped at all. Rather, a protective shelter had appeared above our heads. It looked like glass above us as the rain hit it and slid down each side. And so it begins, Martin said. He stood holding his map and staring at a new droplet of blood. Algrath is near. Keep your wits about you and we will prevail. Asher, bring the first ward down and trigger the first trap. We still have 15 minutes before that spell is accurate, Asher said. We're jumping the gun here. We no longer have the luxury of waiting, Gowan said, nodding toward the cabin. An eerie bluish-purple glow emanated from inside, and the front door suddenly flew open. A dark smoke billowed out of the house. At the same time, the windows exploded, oozing the same dark purple smoke. I wanted to run straight inside and grab the girls, but I held myself back. There were still wards and traps up everywhere. We wouldn't save anyone if we were killed or overrun. I had to find a way to trust the experts around me. What do we do? I asked. Wait for Asher. Whatever comes at us, we fight, Gianna said. Then we trigger the next trap until we've made our way up to the house. This is it. Everyone ready. Beside me, Martin placed a hand on Kai's shoulder. Young man, no matter what else happens, you do not let Lenora leave your sight. Do you hear me? Yes, sir, I promise. Okay, so I did have a guardian angel. In the past, I might have been upset that no one trusted me to get things done on my own, but if I'd learned anything over the past week, it was that pride was not doing me any favors. I needed help, and there was no shame in having someone there to look out for me. I would be looking out for him, too. Sparks flew as Asher cast a spell off to our left, but I couldn't quite see what he was doing through the downpour. It soon became apparent what was happening, though, because a dark mass of hellhounds surrounded our small shelter, their teeth bared and dripping with poison. They scratched at the glass-like spell, and after just a moment, something inside it cracked, letting a single paw through. It won't hold much longer. Prepare yourselves, Darius said as he leaned down and grabbed a handful of mud. He slathered it across his arms, and it turned to what looked like leather armor. Seeing him threw me into action, too. I repeated his motions, using the spell Gianna had given me. Saxum, I said, and the mud on my arm turned to stone. It was a bit tight and uncomfortable against my skin, but if it worked, I was okay with being uncomfortable. I had prepared my dagger's blade ahead of time, coating it with salt and poison. I pulled it from its leather sheath now, my hands trembling. Darius's shelter shattered under the weight of the hellhounds, and they rushed toward us in a pack. I knew from my reading that hellhounds were extremely dangerous. They weren't so hard to kill, but if they broke skin with their teeth, you were done for. A hellhound rushed toward me and immediately tried to sink its teeth into my calf. It didn't get far, though, because Gianna had put a protective spell on my jeans that made them the much lighter equivalent of chainmail armor. Sending up a prayer of thanks to her, I buried my blade into the hound's skull. It exploded into a pile of smoke and ash, and I turned to the next one and the next, slashing and sinking my blade into each one in turn. As a group, we made quick work of the hellhounds, but that didn't mean we had any time to rest. Somewhere in the darkness, more screams rang out through the trees. Help me, someone screamed. My stomach turned, and for a second, I thought I was going to be sick. It sounded like Peyton. I told myself it's just a trick, though. Algrath was trying to mix us up, cause us to make a mistake. We just had to hold steady and stick together. Asher appeared in front of us, rain sliding down his face. His light blue eyes practically glowed in the dark, and it made me wonder if he'd cast some kind of spell to help him see out here. Someone is leading the girls to the back, he shouted. I don't know what he's playing at, but this isn't what we expected. We can't let him start this ritual. If we get locked out of that circle, we'll end up just watching it all happen and not being able to do a dang thing about it. Now I was really going to be sick. This was already a mess, and my heart was pounding so fast it was messing with my vision. Keep the traps coming, Gowan said, needing to shout over the sound of the storm growing around us. As soon as one is half down, we trigger the next one. No matter what, though, we stick together. As they spoke, I removed a packet of reagents from my bag. Even though my hands were shaking and my body shivered from the cold rain, I managed to keep my wits about me as I dressed the sword with more salt, poison ivy, and thorns. I clasped my locket as I finished off the spell, praying that it would last. I had 5 more packets like this in my bag, too, so that I could quickly reapply the spell once its power had faded. The more experienced slayers with much higher level keys still had swords, daggers, and other weapons that glowed with the light of their initial spells, but as a relatively new witch, I didn't have access to their power. Any uncertainty I'd had about joining up with the slayers when I turned 18 faded to nothing. I wanted this. I wanted the kind of power they had. I wanted to be able to save people and banish evil. I let that determination and will flow through me as the next trap was triggered. As lightning illuminated the sky, I screamed in horror at the shadowy figures that rose from the ground, wraiths of some kind. They weren't made of flesh and bone like the hellhounds. Instead, these types of creatures were made of air and shadow. My dagger would be no use against these things. I sheathed it so as not to let the spell fade away, and instead reached into my bag to grab a vial of trapped sunlight. To any normal eye, it just looked like an empty vial, but I had captured this bit of sunlight myself on the beach a few years ago with my parents in France. To me, that made it stronger than normal sunlight since it was captured at the height of my joy and infused with laughter. Mom had told me to save it for a special occasion when I needed to lift myself from a dark place, and I couldn't think of a better time for it than right now. I carefully uncorked the vial and tipped it over, letting a single drop of sunshine fall toward my palm. Con lumino, I said, squinting as a bright ball of sunshine appeared in my hand. Even some of the more experienced slayers looked over, respect shining in their eyes. I was just relieved I'd remembered the right word for the incantation. After our quick training, they were all starting to run together a bit. I took a deep breath and grasped my locket, allowing the power of it to flow through me and amplify the sunlight in my hand. I could have sworn I heard my mother's laughter trickle from the sunlight as it grew stronger, lighting up the entire forest and the clearing ahead. The wraiths that remained screeched and tried to fall back to the shadows. My heart raced as I tried to remember the right word to scatter the sunlight. There was no time for doubt. I had to think fast and be strong. Dispergat, I said. The ball of sunshine in my hand seemed to explode outward, sparkling as it shot out in a radius around me, its light slicing through the shadowy wraiths until there were no more. Gowan winked at me, even as he drew his sword and pushed it through the heart of a demon about twice his height. The next wave was here already. As we fought, there was no time for second guessing or doubt. We couldn't worry about the rain pouring down on us or the lightning that seemed to flash closer and closer to the cabin. I couldn't even let the sound of screams break my focus. The only way through to them was to kill everything in our path. That was what mattered. And I was surprised how quickly I focused on the creatures that surrounded us, wave after wave in the darkness of the night. Through it all, Kai was right there at my side. We did it, he said, out of breath as we joined the other slayers near the steps to the cabin. Is that all of them? I asked, scared to hope. Asher nodded. That's all the traps I was able to detect, he said. And I just checked out back. No activity anymore. It seems they've all gone back inside. That means we're all on our guard the second we walk into this place. Consider everything a trap from this point forward, Gowan said. Where's Darius? I asked, panic filling my heart as I counted and saw that one of us was missing. He's getting the car, Gianna said, placing a hand on my arm. As soon as we have the girls, you and Kai will get into Gowan's SUV and head back to Martin's. I nodded, relief filling me as Darius pulled up in the black SUV. This was the plan we'd discussed, and even though things had not gone exactly like we originally thought, we seemed to be back on track. The car is cloaked? Kai asked. With everything we've got, Gowan said. There's not a soul in the world that can find this car now without physically laying eyes on it. You'll be safe all the way home, and we'll deal with Algrath here. Nervous energy flowed through me as my heart pounded. We just had to get to the girls, and everything was going to be okay. Asher and Gianna ran around to the back to guard that door and the ritual circle, while the rest of us waited to go inside. Darius handed me the keys to the SUV. You've got this. Thanks, I said, putting them in my pocket. Let's go, Gowan said, leading the charge up the steps. With a flash of something in his hand, he blew the door off its hinges to keep it from closing us in later. The dark smoke that had billowed from the place earlier smelled of sulfur, and a black goo covered the floor of the main room. There was no sign of the girls here. Kai and Lenny, you both stay here, Gowan said. Everyone else, find the girls. The cabin was small, but I was nervous when they left us in the room alone. Kai guarded the main doorway, while Gianna stood guarding the back door just through the other side of the main room. Gowan and Martin split to the left side of the cabin, while Britta and Darius took the right side. I didn't know what else to do, so I reapplied the poison spell to my blade and looked around the smoke-filled room for any kind of clue. Footsteps, weapons, anything. That's when I noticed the door Bates must have been talking about before. A plain brown door in the back of the room with a large lock on it. He was right. There was magic holding that lock closed. Something so powerful it put a strange taste in my mouth. Nothing back there, Darius said, coming back into the room. Here, I said, the door Bates was talking about. Stand back, he said. He pulled something sticky and red from his bag and placed it on the lock. Abstergo, he said. A black goo oozed from the lock, and everyone in the room instantly covered our mouths and noses. What the heck is that? Gianna asked. That's vile. And deadly, Darius said. It's demon's blood mixed with nightshade, grown in the underworld. Don't let it touch your skin. He took a glass tube covered in black paint out of his satchel and carefully scooped the black liquid up from its puddle on the floor. Quickly, he corked it and sealed it with a strong spell that would prevent it from opening back up. Stand back and expect another trap, he said. Darius also took several steps backward before holding one palm flat toward the door and closing his eyes. Salvo, he said. The air wavered as the intention of his spell flowed from his palm to the lock on the door, which instantly popped open. My heart pounded against my ribs as he stepped forward and opened the door. I don't know what I was expecting, but I certainly wasn't expecting the end of the battle. I thought that behind that door we'd find another trap, or the demon himself. Instead, lying on the floor, wrapped in dark netting that pulsed with dark light and shadows, was Julie Peterson. I gasped and nearly fell to my knees. She was here. We were right. Algrath had been Julie Peterson all along. Darius quickly dispelled the netting around her and lifted her into his arms. She's unconscious, but she's alive. He set her down on the couch in the center of the room as a commotion broke out in the back bedrooms on the other side of the house. Everyone in the room turned to fight, but Martin held up his hand as he emerged from the bedroom. It's all right, he said. We've got them. It's going to be all right. I gasped as the 5 kidnapped girls stepped out of the bedroom, one at a time. I recognized the first girl, Latasha, from her photograph. She was the first taken, but she was here now, alive. Her body was shaking, but she kept rubbing her arm where it looked like some kind of strange symbol had been burned into her skin. But she was alive. What's happening? She asked as she led the group into the main part of the cabin. I know it doesn't all make sense yet, Gianna said softly, placing a blanket around the girl's shoulder. But you're okay. You're safe. One by one, each of the girls came out of the room. Each one had been marked for the ritual, but it seemed we had gotten to them in time. When Peyton stepped forward, her eyes widened at the sight of me, and she ran forward, crying. Oh my God, Lenny, what are you doing here? She asked as I threw my arms around her. I thought we were going to die. Who are all these people? They're my friends, I said, hardly controlling my own tears. I couldn't believe we'd actually found them. Are you hurt? I held her at arm's length for a moment, checking for any other injuries, but the mark on her arm seemed to be the only one. She was still wearing pajamas that looked like they'd seen better days, and she obviously hadn't showered for a while, but she seemed to be okay. When her eyes landed on Julie Peterson, though, she screamed and backed away. She's the one who did this, she said. Don't trust her. She's got something wrong with her. I know this is going to sound crazy, but you have to believe me. She's dangerous. Peyton, it's okay, I said. She can't hurt you now. I turned to Martin. Where is he? I asked. We need to get them out of here. He wants us to think he's just left them here and run away, Gianna said. But he's got a trick or two up his sleeve still, I think. Take the girls and go, Martin said. The car is cloaked, but don't let your guard down. I'm going with them, Gianna said. This doesn't feel right. Martin nodded. Yes, keep them safe and wait for us at the house. There were a lot of questions as we led the girls to the SUV outside. I didn't even know for sure what to tell them. I wanted to say this whole thing was over, but until we knew for sure where Algrath had gone, no one was safe. I felt better with Gianna in the car as Kai took the wheel and drove us away from the cabin. I sent up a prayer that Martin and the others would be okay when they faced Algrath. His ritual may have been disrupted, but I didn't believe he would just give up without a fight, not if he truly wanted to set his brother free, which meant we needed to get home as quickly as possible. Kai was doing better than I would have, taking it easy in the storm. I wanted to tell him to step on it, but we couldn't afford to get into an accident, not until we were through these wards. It was only half a mile until we hit the wards that Algrath couldn't pass through. But as we approached the barrier, the car's engine switched off and the brake engaged. Panic filled me as the car stopped just 50 yards shy of the barrier. No, 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 I muttered. The barrier is right there. What's happening? Kai tried to restart the engine, but it was completely dead. Get out, Gianna said, her tone urgent. Get everyone across the barrier now. She threw open the door and started pulling the girls out, urging them to run. At the same time, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I answered as we ran. Martin, something's wrong with the car, I shouted. We're running for the barrier, but I don't know. Lenny, this is Gowan. Listen to me, he said. We've just found another girl hidden beneath the house. She had to have been the first girl taken, not the last. Another girl, I said, a funny feeling in the pit of my stomach as a dark purple shadow suddenly spread across the pavement in front of me. Who? I asked, my entire body trembling. This couldn't be real. Everyone up ahead fell to the ground, all except one person. She turned on me then, her eyes sparkling as her form shifted. Lenny, Algrath is with you, he said. The girl under the house is Peyton. That was the last thing I heard before the phone slipped from my hand and everything went dark. Dun, 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 dun. Whew. Oh my gosh. I saw some of it were coming in. Some people were getting it right towards the end. JD messaged me last night on Marco Polo and she was like, I think it might be Peyton. And I was like, darn it. So that is where we leave you. One of the big twists of the story so far. There may still be a few more to go. So 10 pages today. Lana, why is it always the first friend at the new school? You just never know who it's going to be. Yes, I'm sure it's very disappointing to Lenny. So we're going to definitely get to see a lot of that happening tomorrow. What we're going to do. Yes, Nilda. So that's why the spell didn't work on Peyton the first day of school, because she could see through it. So I kind of dropped a few hints about that here and there. But was it Peyton the whole time, or after they figured out it was Julie? It was Peyton the whole time. So it'll come through to light. Like all of those little things will get wrapped up. So you'll find out a little bit more about how that all went down tomorrow. So it'll all get So Nicole said, did you always know it was going to be Peyton? I think that what I'm going to do so that I don't spoil anything that's still coming on accident tomorrow is, instead of like answering some of those questions, we're on Monday. So we'll do the big finale tomorrow. And if I have time afterward, just depending on how much time is left, I may answer a few questions, but also on Monday, we'll do a live where I won't read anything, except I might read something very short. And then we will do a little questionnaire if you guys want to ask any questions about the story. So I just don't want to say anything else because I don't want to spoil anything that might be coming tomorrow. And, of course, just keep in mind, like I saw somebody say, I'm going to go back and read all the clues in the beginning. Just keep in mind, too, that this is a rough draft of the book. So, there's always like little things, like, especially for me, a lot of things that change in the final edits for me, or even the second pass, is character arc stuff. So a lot of times when I'm trying to explore what is this character really needing to face in this book, how is she needing to change, I need to really write the book the first way through so that I can get a feel for that. So I feel like this is one of the sort of bigger mistakes that I've made, but I don't really want to call it a mistake because we all know this is a rough draft as we go. But that's probably one of the things that will definitely change in the rewrite, is I will really tighten up Lenny's character arc as to, like, will she be, I feel like it's just been a little wishy-washy with her impulsiveness, and I haven't fully brought it together the way that I would normally do it. But you can't go back and change things when you're reading it as you go. So that's the kind of thing that I will fix in the edits. So yeah, we will see how it goes. But hopefully you guys will get a chance to also read the edits if you purchase the ebook. But that's just one of the things, is like, hindsight is 2020. And when you finish a story, often the very first thing I've got on my head is making a list of the things that I want to change when I go back and edit it. So since I haven't had a chance yet to edit this, since I've been writing it as I go, there's just going to be little things here and there that need to be tightened up. So just give me a little bit of leeway on some of that stuff not being quite as tight as it will be later. So yeah, Laura, talk about accountability, reading as you go. It's like, oh my gosh, I actually just won Camp Nano. I've set a goal for 50,000 words, and I actually just won Camp Nano today. And all of that is The Witch's Key. And it is currently at 68,000 words. And tomorrow will probably be at least 7,000 words, I think. So we're going to be coming up on about 75,000 words for this book that I have mostly written, almost all of it, in 4 weeks, which is really unusual for me. Yeah, the candle I'm burning to get it done. It's true, but it's been really, really fun. I just can't, I can't write this speed always, but it's just having that accountability, having those people, having you guys here listening to it gives me that accountability and motivation and inspiration to just keep writing. And I've just been having to push through my own doubts because, like I said, as a writer, you struggle against that, like that wanting to be perfect kind of thing. So you're like, this isn't, like, even as I'm writing Lenny's character arc stuff today, or like the reveal with Peyton stuff, I'm kind of just like, I think I could do that better. So it's hard to push through because I want to go back to the beginning and go ahead and start editing it. But you guys have been an amazing audience, and you guys have been very nice to me for not pointing out some of the errors and things like that. And of course, as there are the clues that it's Peyton are all there, but I will probably tighten some of that up to make it where it's not obvious, but where it's hopefully a couple more clues in there. But like I said, there's other things that will come together tomorrow, and you will see kind of any other little things. Oh, Emmy, you are very sweet. Well, thank you, Jennifer, too. That is very sweet. Yeah, I hope that it wasn't obvious. I just want to make sure that if that maybe there's a few more clues, because I always feel like it's cheating if there's no clues at all. Um, yes, so I did hint at it being Olive, and you'll find out tomorrow if Olive had anything to do with it or what part her mother played in it. So all that stuff will come out tomorrow. Um, Yeah, thank you very much, Laura. Thank you guys for the congrats on Nano. Just a few words about the cupcake stuff. I just now received, like right before I started, an email from Pamela that's taking her longer to do the cupcake recipes than she expected. So I know that isn't giving you guys enough time to really like go out shopping, because we're kind of all on lockdown to go make cupcakes. So just feel free to make any kind of cupcakes you want. And whenever I hear back from her, which she said might be a few hours away, I will post those recipes on my Facebook page, my blog, and on my In the Coven. But there just may not be time for everybody to run out and get ingredients and stuff for cupcakes. So feel free to go get any kind of cupcake big mix or whatever you want, or make cupcakes with what you have at home. Or yes, you could eat something healthy if you want, or yeah, we can have them for the season 2 premiere, or you can make them up next week. So I am going to do a couple of giveaways tomorrow, but then there will also be a few giveaways that will go on throughout next week as well. So the cupcakes can be one of those. So even if you don't make your cupcakes until like next Friday, then carrots in honor of the bunny. Yay. Even if you can't make your cupcakes until later, we're going to do a hashtag Moondust Cupcakes. So yes, lots of possibilities with that. I probably am going to we have to go to the store anyway, always in this essential search for toilet paper. So we're probably going to go first thing in the morning to the grocery store here, like right when they open in the morning, to also get Starbucks, because there's a Starbucks in that grocery store. So we'll get Starbucks, pick up some cupcake ingredients, and any other little things. If there's time, we're going to try to kind of set the mood a little bit differently tomorrow, but I have a feeling to finish up this last episode, I'm probably going to be up most of the night. So George is already ready for that. I'm probably going to be up all night, and I'm okay with that. I just hope that it comes out the way that I see it in my brain. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll have cupcakes and coffee drinks and lots of little fun things tomorrow. So, yes, they have kept Starbucks open in our store. So, that has been fine. They did close down the like donuts and stuff like that, but they've still kept the Starbucks open, and it's been fine. I love veggies, but kale is my least favorite. I understand. Carrot cake cupcake. George loves carrot cake. So, yes, I know, LA, you're very sweet. Thank you. I'm going to try. I mean, we'll just see how it goes. If I have a feeling that I'm going to be up all night, I probably will just have the same backdrop as this tomorrow, and it will just be the way it is. Yeah, get a cupcake from the bakery at Walmart and Starbucks. So I'm not sure if they closed the bakery here at our grocery store, but we're going to check. Thank you, Stephanie. All right, you guys, please hit the thumbs up button if you get a chance. I would sincerely appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the reveal today. Don't spoil it for anybody in the groups or anything that might not have been checking it. We could maybe, if Christabel, if you want to, we could post a spoiler thread where people can talk about it. Just we need to remind people of what to do with the spoilers, even in the comments, for the first few comments or whatever. But this is it. We are down to the final episode. It's going to be a long one tomorrow. I expect us to go, seeing as how this one's already 54 minutes, I expect us to go at least an hour and a half between all the talking and everything else. But the fact that you guys have been hanging out with me for a full month, doing this almost every day, is amazing. I love you guys. It means so much to me that you've been here. I cannot wait for tomorrow and to see what the future brings. I'm going to miss hanging out with you guys. I'm going to start to have withdrawals about it. So we'll just have to see, how it all goes after this. We'll have to just keep it going. Next week, we might we're going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week. And it might be just talking about this story and going through story structure stuff. There's going to be a little bit of reading. I think I'm going to read Locksley for you guys. But yeah, we're going to still keep it going. We're just going to do it 3 days a week instead of 6. So hopefully you guys will stay with us. All right. Okay. Now I feel like I need a glass of wine and a nap. Thank you guys so much. Sorry about the crackly mic, but hopefully it worked out. I'll double check, restart my computer and everything for tomorrow. Oh, also what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to actually try to set up not a pre-order for tomorrow, but like set it up where I schedule the stream so that you can go ahead and be watching the stream or like be signing up for the stream or like whatever, seeing it on my page. I don't know what you call that, but scheduling the stream so that you guys can see that it is planned for tomorrow at the time. Whereas before I've just been like setting it up right before we go. So you should see that go up tonight, that it'll say I'll be streaming in 12 hours or whatever. Premiere maybe. Yeah. So you should see that, and that's where we'll be tomorrow. This is the first time I'm going to try it. So fingers crossed I don't make any mistakes and everything works out. We're also going to see if this is kind of one of the things before we go. I'm going to see if I have time to pick out like the actors that I think would be playing these roles. But what we might do is we might save that for next week because I just don't know for sure if I'm going to have time to do it. So we might just save all of that stuff for next week. And just like Monday, we'll talk about the story and how I came up with certain things and kind of behind the scenes and any little explanations. Then on Wednesday, maybe we'll do a cast party where I'll show you guys who I think the cast is for the story, you know, and all that stuff. And then Friday, maybe we can do something else that's fun. Then the week after that, maybe we can read Locksley, and that will give me 2 weeks worth of time. That's a break. And I can finish up the last parts of Fate's Surrender and get that book going to betas as well. And that'll kind of give me a little bit of a better idea of when I can start season 2, because I don't want to start season 2 of this until Fate's Surrender is done, because I've been working on them both at the same time and I just need to focus and get it done so that it can be out for everyone who's been waiting like 4 years for that book. So, yeah, we could. Yeah, that's a good idea too, Kelly. I don't want to put too much work on Christabel's plate, but if you have time, Christabel, you could make a post in the Coven for actors and actresses. But if you don't have time, please don't worry about it. You already do so much for me, and I'm so, so incredibly grateful for you. I don't know what George is talking about with the planning stuff. I'll have to go back and read what he's been putting on there. All right, you guys, please hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Thank you all so much for hanging out. I cannot wait for tomorrow. I'm going to go see if I can find something witchier to wear. George and I are going to play around with lighting to see if we can make it just a little bit spookier tomorrow, but tomorrow is going to be intense. I will see you then. All right. Much love to you. I'll keep posting some things in the Coven for you to post pictures of your cupcakes, your Bellish challenge. Thank you to those of you who have posted, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.